Artificial intelligence in public procurement. Now, this is for me an interesting topic. I don't know if there are a lot of people interested in this, but certainly it is one that I am getting deeply involved in. And today is really just to give a little bit of context, to have some discussion around some use cases. So there's lots of terms that are emerging now in this emerging technologies space, and one of those is use cases. And then I've got some suggestions and some questions around the way forward. One of the questions that I'd like you to think about is who is going to do AI in public procurement in your institution? Is it going to be you, or is it going to be National Treasury, or is it going to be somebody else? So just a question there that I'm going to pose and allow us to get into as we progress. Now, somebody has just started an AI companion. I don't mind that at all. There are lots of terms, and if anyone who is, and I'm going to ask you to put some comments in the chat shortly, anyone who has started to look at artificial intelligence will realize that there are lots and lots of terms and concepts that are out there, large language models, agents, agentic AI, there's AI governance issues, there's NLP, there's models, there's machine learning, there's human in the loop, so many different terms and things that are out there. And just to say that it's not, AI is not just one thing. There's many aspects to this. So one of the studies that I had a look at was SIPS last year, and many people on this platform love SIPS, and they certainly do provide a great perspective. Basically, in their international survey, investment in AI is up. And you might not be able to see it on the slide there, but it's up to 44% from 35%. So that's almost 10% up in a year, investment in AI. And their report spoke a lot about the impact and the focus, and that 83% of respondents feel that it's going to lead to greater operational efficiency, with 81% talking about it leading to greater automation, greater operational efficiency, automation of manual processes. Employers will require new skills due to AI adoption. Definite, guaranteed. It will help to identify supply chain risk and support decision-making, and productivity will improve. So those are some of the definitions. Now, I'm going to just leave this discussion at this point and just ask you to put in the chat, where are you on AI? And I'm gonna talk. You're welcome to unmute if you've got some thoughts that you want to share on this, but just put some comments down in the chat. Where are you on AI in this public procurement space? I'd love to know if you're personally exploring different tools. Tell us which one you're exploring. Which one are you using? Are you using Copilot? Are you using ChatGPT? Are you using Gemini? What tools are you just personally exploring? Has your institution decided to do anything on AI at this point? And I'm keeping that question generic, not necessarily procurement, but what about procurement? Have you got specific strategic objectives to use AI in procurement? Have you started to plan that? Maybe there are some of you who are online who've already implemented AI, and you've got some use cases you'd like to share at some point in time. Maybe you started and failed, and you've basically stopped. Where are you? Where are you? And this is not it's not a scientific survey. I just love to get some perspectives from you on where are you as far as AI is concerned. So the chat is open, and just encouraged to see the flood of comments that are coming in. There's no flood, by the way. Would love to know from you, where are you in this point? Now, I had started to put together some polls, but it gets quite complicated, and so didn't do that. So I just thought let's just open the chat and see if there's anyone who's keen to talk about this. Mike, welcome.
Hi, Sean. Sean, we've been talking about a single database for procurement for ages, and I'm not sure why the message doesn't sink in. I mean, there are some processes which are mechanical processes which can be automated. So you don't end up with one bidder being excluded in one province or at national government level, and then a municipality turning around and saying, oh, we didn't know that this bidder was excluded. And I mean, the papers have been full of names of people who've been in front of a variety of commissions found to be guilty, or at least they were found to be certainly acting outside the scope of legal provisions, and they're still bidding. And they're still being awarded contracts by a number of state entities, whether it's a municipality, whether it's a national government level, whether it's provincial government level. And these are simple things. These are simple wins. And for some reason, they just never seem to be accepted. I mean, it simplifies things. It makes things so much quicker when you have a central database, which you can have any type of AI program, which just doesn't use generative AI, which is where the majority of the hallucinations occur. Just use predictive AI. So it just searches the information and gives you the answer. And it's just so simple, particularly, when we hear that, like the city of Cape Town on certain bids has 150 bids to sift through. Surely an automated process will make that so much quicker and so much easier. And instead, we still want to walk the walk when we can fly the walk.
Good one, Mike. Absolutely. So many opportunities. I agree with you fully. All right, hello, Tandi, welcome.
Hi, Sean. Happy New Year to everyone. Good morning, colleagues.
Yes, welcome.
This is a very interesting topic. I think, we've had a bit of a conversation about it. But for me, I think from a regulator point of view, from a public sector official point of view, one thing that I'm worried about, I feel like we can just hold our horses first with AI and maybe have a conversation about the responsible use of AI, have a conversation about its governance, have a conversation about its ethics, because one interesting conversation, somebody on LinkedIn was talking about accountability. If something goes wrong, who are we going to hold accountable? Are we going to hold the machine accountable? Are we going to hold the person who uses the machine accountable? But accountability has to lie somewhere, And now my issue is that yes, our legislation it's 100 years behind with what is currently going on. But hypothetically, let's say we use AI for selection of suppliers, and then we don't even know the algorithm that it uses to identify suppliers. Then 5 transactions later, we find that this AI has only been selecting companies that are owned by black, white, male. And then there's a noise about it. Who are we going to blame? So one thing also that I'm picking up with AI, as exciting as it is, we first need to talk about educating ourselves about using AI. We need to understand how I'm not saying that we should be programmers. No, we shouldn't, but we need to, for example, in our competitive bidding process, when it gets to adjudication and award has been made, we know where it started. We know it started from a procurement plan, from a bid spec, from evaluation, for it to get to award. Then accountability becomes easier. I like to marry this with the same as somebody signing a contract without reading. Then when there's a breach we're going to come and say, I did not know what the contract said. So for me, I'm more interested about as we know, I can never talk much about the efficiency that AI brings. That
Yeah.
one we definitely agree on,
Yeah.
but more about its governance and its responsibility, because as public procurement practitioners, we have a huge responsibility of understanding what the laws are saying, of protecting our communities, of protecting our budgets, and.
Yeah.
So I'm still in that back burner to say, are we competent, or maybe do we have this unconscious incompetency of not knowing what we don't know? We're just excited about what AI is bringing, So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Good one. And I think that's so. Just for the record, Tandi, I would not support you putting a hold on AI. The points you've raised around governance and protection of information and decision making and all that stuff are important points. We're not going to solve those points. Now, your mindset may be that yes, we're going to use AI to send it out there, to evaluate it and suggest who we recommend. I think we're far away from it. There are steps that we can take to get there. So to see the comments coming in, well done, Folk. I think it's important to start to use it. I'm not seeing a lot of comments yet to say that we as an institution are doing this. Maybe Hayden just give us some perspectives there. That would be interesting to know. A lot of it seems to be we're using it for personally as a productivity tool. I just applaud you for doing this. I'm going to hopefully through this discussion try and just lift our thinking a little bit and see where we can take it. Mike? Go ahead, Michael.
I think we must be careful on holding back. And just make a comment. The reason for which Silicon Valley is where it is because Silicon Valley was driven by risk takers.
Yeah.
They dealt with the problem when and if the problem arose. That's where they are, why they are where they are, and that's why we are where we are. Because there's appetite for risk taking. As far as the liability is quite clear at the moment. The liability lies with the last decision maker. The machine and the author of the code does not have any liability whatsoever. And I can speak from my own experience with the use of AI in the design of engineering systems and engineering infrastructure. So if you're the one who signs off at the end, you're the one who's liable. But I think we must not become Luddites, because that is the biggest danger, is that we just hold back until we achieve perfection. Perfection is impossible. We must just deal with the problems and the issues when and if they arise. Otherwise, we'll still be going around, and we just need to accept the technology and move with time and accept the risks. If we don't become risk takers, we're going to be left way behind the rest of the world. And there's enough infrastructure, there's enough structure, there's enough information for South Africa to actually say, this is what others have gone through before us. We will take the good, we'll leave the bad behind, hopefully. And if we encounter a problem, we will deal with it when and if.
Mike, the other thing, and this is such a tiny, and if you look at the chat, people are using it, and if we kind of wait from a governance perspective, we're going to have, and let me share with you a little scenario. That's why I was working in the institution. We were doing strategy. There was a breakout that we did to say, right, go out there and take this particular aspect of the strategy and please develop a bit of a SWOT on that one. And lo and behold, somebody took the strategy work that we'd been working on for the whole week and put it into ChatGPT and said, ChatGPT, please extract from this SWOT analysis. Now, what person now I have made that strategy document, what do you call it, public. It's out there. It's she wasn't using she was using a free tool, and that's a risk. And I think if we just stop, we're not going to manage these. I think we have to move faster. But we have to move faster in the context of the concerns that Thandi mentioned. Let's jump to Kyle, and then we'll go to Advocate and Saluba. Kyle.
Hi, good morning.
Well done for what you're doing.
Let's go. Thandi's 100% right there. I think it's around understanding exactly what those risks are. And I can see colleagues as strategic advisors in the city, we can see how people sometimes fall into that trap, especially when doing specification, cross references, making sure that everything is there, because ultimately you are leaving traces of your specification out there before even going down the tender process.
Got it.
So the city's approach was a little bit different in order to mitigate these type of risks, and even just to understand them better. There's 4 GPTs that's basically closed repositories in the city. One related, yes. But it was to learn exactly what Thandi is cautioning us against, and where, how people use it, how they use it between kind of closed repositories in the city and external, how co-pilot, the environment, basically the architecture, the behavior, that's the learning exercise the city is currently on. For Mike's comment, I can't wait for the day as a practitioner, active in SEM, almost every single day. I can't wait for the day that we can take the work that I normally take about 12 months to do and move it into a click of a button. But that I would absolutely welcome, but it's got to be done in a careful and cautious manner.
Right.
Again, with level of urgency, because it is important. We want to get to a space where we can do more within the same kind of constraints, time constraints, effort constraints. But the key is we have to be mindful of all of the lessons that people are learning live right now. That strategy analogy that you just gave now, it's happened to a good number of colleagues. And we can see it because when you do follow up queries or prompts, we can see that, there is Sean's strategy document and his SWOT analysis. So just tread with caution. We tend to kind of not force at the moment, but we are really being coerced into using a on-premise version of Copilot. Obviously, we've gone down there at an enterprise level. But then there's other tools like Notebook LLM that are closed, at least as closed as possible in that repository. So I would rather do the management, the understanding, the specification kind of thinking in a closed repository space. But yeah, very exciting topic. Very, very exciting topic.
Good one, Carl. Let Advocate and Saluba and Chris Wilcock, I'm gonna, if you wouldn't mind,
thank you.
Just continue, and then maybe we could come back a little bit. I just want to try and keep the conversation going. But Advocate, if you want to make a quick point, Chris, if you want to make a quick point.
A quick one.
Absolutely.
A quick one. I hope I'm audible. Sean.
Yes, we can hear.
The reality is that you can hear me. The reality is that we need to automate the obvious things. I mean, this is the debate we have in the legal profession. However, Sean, let us agree in one thing, that for as long as we want to be consumers of AI tools, we're going to be dipped in a situation where you spend most of the time verifying the sources. I'm speaking now as a lecturer and as a person who has been in the AI development space. Because if you talk size space, you talk LM, you talk perplexity, I can tell you about all of them. But the issue for me is what Thandi is saying in terms of verifying the authenticity. And I've come to realize, Sean, that AI is good. But speaking now as a supervisor, believe you me, I'm able to see a dissertation that is AI from the original thinking of a person. Now, why am I saying this? I'm then saying we cannot remove ourselves by just using a duplicate of what's happening everywhere and copy it everywhere. That's one. The second one, talking to your document and talking about procurement. Procurement has some level of secrecy. And allow me to say, using the military, there's a top clearance, there are various levels of security clearance. And speaking as a person who has been dealing with the AI tools, no one can guarantee the data privacy of anyone. And so I'm saying we must.
Just I got your point. Let's jump to Chris quickly and then back.
Thanks, Sean. Just a very quick one. I just want, while it's still fresh in our mind, what Carl and a couple of other speakers were saying, is that we can't wait too long for this because the world's going to pass us by. But we do have to tread carefully. You know, the point I just want to make is that artificial intelligence doesn't replace human intelligence. And we've seen enough problems caused by indiscriminate use of copy and paste where you know, a tender document comes out and it specifies 3 different GCC just because somebody's been copying and pasting paragraphs indiscriminately. So yes, we need to move ahead very quickly, but we also need to make sure that the people using AI are trained to do that and are also subject experts. Thanks. That's all I wanted to say now.
Thanks, Chris. Good one. Let's move on. So this is from a report that came out in 2024. I have not seen a more recent one, but NASPO is, if you like, a professional body for state procurement in the US, and very interesting. So this is probably 2 years ago. Only 7 states were actually busy with any AI technology in procurement or contract management. Seven of the 50 odd states that are out there. Many weren't doing anything. So that was quite interesting. There is a more recent report that came out late last year by OECD, just talking about the potential use cases of AI and big data and analytics across the end-to-end supply chain process, right from needs assessment, planning, developing specifications, choosing the right procedure, doing the RFP itself, evaluating the bid, contract management, order payment, reporting and performance. There's a whole range of, if you like, use cases which are emerging where AI is being implemented. This is a report that was done by Glenna and a couple of other researchers in 2023, just looking at about 300 papers as to, in those papers, where are they talking about and discussing AI in the procurement process. And here they've I'll just read this out, it might not be legible: procurement strategy configuration, supply market analysis, supply relationship management, strategic performance management, specification development, supply scouting, RFQs, negotiation selection, contracting, order issuing, expediting, receipt control, payment, operative evaluation. And very interesting that the biggest area is actually in the decision support and supply selection stage. And then you'll see this throughout. There's a lot of work that's done around AI in risk management, risk mitigating. So, but what's important here is it's actually throughout the procurement process. And I've been doing a lot of work around the applications that are out there, and many of the applications that we've got in procurement in the public sector in South Africa, most of the applications are in this area, right? It's around from the time that we place an order through to the time that we are procuring. And this is the least area where there is actually AI involvement. So that was quite an interesting paper. So what I've done is, Mike, I'll come back to you now. Let me just finish this process. What I've done is I've been researching, and this is one of many outcomes that I've done, looked at where is AI being implemented and used in the public procurement space across the world. And to try and get away from many vendors who are saying, hey, our AI product is being used for this and this and this and doing this. I've made this very specific to say where it's officially stated in some official report by somebody that they have realized or there's actual evidence of benefits that they've got, and it is very specific in the procurement process. So you'll see a lot of stuff out there. Hey, we're using AI, but when you kind of delve into it, it's they're using a chat bot on their website. That's about it. But these are, and I'm not going to get into the detail. That's not the purpose of today's session. But you can see here that, yes, of course, many of the European countries, I'm fascinated to see countries like Estonia and Latvia and Ukraine. Ukraine is a really interesting case that are getting into AI. UK, of course, Netherlands and Finland. These are two of the competency centers that they've got in Europe. Australia getting into it, the US, of course, Canada, Singapore, Korea, Brazil, the World Bank. There are many organizations around the world that are officially doing work with AI in procurement. And if I take that further and I analyze that, and this is against the different use cases that are out there, and these are just the top 10, what are the kinds of cases that people are doing? And you can see here, Thandi, it's not develop a specification, put it out there, evaluate and award. It is on very specific things, doing some price benchmarking, doing some costing, some modeling of the prices. This is a very big one. This is what Mike is alluding to, is where you start looking at the different bids and looking for anomalies and issues, particularly around the issue of collusion. And lots of issues that are taking place around that area, right down to supplier risk and performance management and helping manage bids and QAs and things like that. And some are operational; they're already in place. Some are busy piloting, but certainly it is out there and it is happening. Now, one of the things that I've started to realize is there's a very big difference between how we approach AI in procurement versus how we've approached e-procurement, if you like. Now e-procurement, the primary goal of e-procurement is we want to automate these transactions, right? We want to put in place an enterprise requirements management system or planning system, and we want to try and get our processes automated and get them going as quickly as possible and efficiently as possible. AI is not, right? AI, we're looking at insights. We're looking at supporting decision-making. It's not the mindset that we've got of put the spec out there and award. That's not where we're moving. Now, in the AI space, in the e-procurement space, the typical approach that we use is we go out there and we look for a solution. Let us find a solution, and the thinking is around best fit. What's the least amount of customization that we have to get this done? Not in AI. They don't exist. There aren't AI systems for procurement that are out there. They are tools. The place we're going to end up is going to be an ecosystem with multiple vendors and multiple solutions. It's not selecting a product. Data, they're very, very focused on that. Data is by its nature in AI very often unstructured. We're looking at efficiencies and accuracies. We're also looking at impact. Our budget focus for e-procurement is what's the licenses, what's the integration, what's the level of customization. It's not that. This is going to be around data readiness and AI models and developing AI models and And very, very different space that we're going to be in this huge amount of development that is going to be taking place. And Thandi, you're absolutely right. You know, from a governance perspective, we put the process in place, we map the process, we put some controls in place. Very, very, very different, right? So we're looking at AI oversight. We're looking at governance structures. We're looking at where do we put human in the loop controls, because Thandi's right. It's not going to be a machine decision. We need to say there are particular points, as Mike said, there are particular points where a person or a committee or somebody who's breathing makes a decision. Where are those? Important governance point. On the skills and e-procurement, we're looking at administrators that we're not dealing with. We're dealing with professionals. We're dealing with data scientists. We're dealing with procurement experts, subject matter experts, right? The people that are on this call that have been putting comments in, you guys are experts. You're not the ones that are busy churning away on the system to issue purchase orders. You're using the tool to help you make some very important decisions around criteria and weighting and what goes in a specification, what doesn't. And then the last point is that we do an e-procurement project and eventually it's in and we go through and we stabilize. It's not the space of AI. We're never going to get there. This is going to be something which is going to be evolving continuously. So let's just acknowledge that this is a different world. This is not the same world that we had where we choose a solution for best fit. This is going to be a very, very different space going forward. Now, what many organizations are doing is actually saying, hang on a sec, interesting, that is the world that we had out there. What we're going to do is we're going to develop an AI capability for procurement. Let me say that again, an AI capability for procurement, right? It's not we're going to find a solution and implement it. We're going to develop a capability that we as an organization are going to build and use, which is an AI capability for procurement. We'll integrate, it will sit alongside our ERP solutions, our enterprise solutions that might be out there. It's going to integrate into National Treasury's CSD and eTender portal, and if you're on CIDB and their databases. And yes, there are many, many benefits that are going to come through. You're absolutely right, Kyle. Faster development of specification, more effective, more compliant. It's interesting, and I really, really think this is going to be an interesting one, is just help us transition from our current PFMA, MFMA, triple PFA world into the PPA. I think it can actually help us. We're going to find, and many institutions are starting to find that now, I know this is a big issue in the Western Cape, is that institutional memory. And very important that we start thinking about that. Faster evaluations, better informed evaluations, early risk detection, improved negotiation, improved quality. These are the benefits that we're going to get through this process. And it's not going to be, this is the solution that we're going to choose to get this done. Let me just quickly pick up on one thing. Now, I've getting quite deep into this through a project that we're working on at the moment. There are many, many, many solutions out there. Many, right? I've started listing them. It's an endless task. If you just take Copilot, Microsoft Copilot, it's not just Copilot. It's Copilot Studio. It's the Power Platform. It's all those Azure applications that they've got. They've got things called Microsoft Fabric. These are all the governance tools that exist that you're talking about, Thandi. It's not just, hey, we're going to go for Copilot. Hey, we're going to go for OpenAI. We're going to go for Llama. There are many, 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 many things. And interesting here, Azure OpenAI. I mean, they have got proper tools to say, let's just recognize OpenAI is one of the massively invested tools that are out there. Let's bring it in and let's develop it so we could use OpenAI in a Microsoft environment. So just saying, now the point is that you're going to find that for uses that you've got in procurement, there are going to be different tools that are needed. Okay, so Copilot Studio, for example, there's a whole category of tools out there called low code or no code tools that professionals can use to put a solution together. You don't need to understand programming language. They've got interfaces in place to allow you to create a process and then use that process to go and do whatever you want it to do for you. That's something a professional can use. Some of those are appropriate for some applications. Others it may not. And you may need a place where you've got a private area. It may be on the cloud, it may not be on premises, but it's a private area on the cloud that you need proper machine learning tools from Azure, Microsoft Azure, to help you put that together. I've been doing a lot of work on AI, OpenAI. I've got a couple of projects that we're running at the moment, and the opportunities within OpenAI of the different options, licenses they got, the option to create different levels of privacy in databases. It's a really, really interesting space. So the point is that different use cases are going to require different solutions. So again, it's not going to be one or the other. There's some approach things. As many of you allude to, this is not just an easy decision. I think I applaud the city of Cape Town for choosing 3 or 4 solutions and getting them out there and allowing you to get going. But here's some thoughts on an approach to get this done. Put some use cases together. Okay, let me just quickly make a quick change here. I've got to be careful of something that I've just put some use cases together. All right, so what does that mean? What that means is for your particular institution, decide what the kinds of applications could be that you're going to use. All right, so let me give you some examples. Yes, and in fact, I don't have to, because you've already started talking about them. What if we in a local municipality, we want to, for particular suppliers, we want to really check that they are in our municipality. So we're going to look at CSD, we're going to take data from CSD, then we're going to go to the e-tender platform, and we're going to check if they've actually done work in municipalities in this particular province through e-tender. We're also going to look at some other external databases to see whether they're out there. We're going to do some work on Google Maps and maybe check municipality references and other websites to see if they're really around here. And actually, those are the ones that we're going to invite if they are. So, just one potential use case. Think about those. Part of the early engagement is actually going to be to start mobilizing. There are skills, there are people, there's roles that we don't even understand at this point in time. AI ethics, governance, AI governance experts. There are so many things out there. Start engaging with the market. Don't do the typical RFI stuff. This is going to require engagement, talking to, working with different interventions that you might use. There is a lot of work to be done on preparing the data. This is not just, hey, put a prompt in there and you get a solution. There's a lot of data. If you're going to put a proper tool together that is going to put a proper specification together, you need to get all your specifications that you've done in the past put together in a place, not on ChatGPT, on open platforms. Put that in somewhere safe. You need to have your policies, you need to have your SOPs, you need to have your guidelines. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you want to prepare data on before you get going. You want to put the platform in place, get the tools in place. There's work to be done on the model. How are you going to do this? What model are you going to do? Let me quickly share with you. We're working on a case law tool. So there's an agent that is looking at different databases out there for new case law that comes in. It brings it in. It passes it to an LLM tool to create a summary to pick out the keywords. It takes it, puts it in a database. That database that gets converted into a vector database, then gets used in a private space for, that model needs to be put together. These things have to be designed. Don't assume that your existing infrastructure is going to be exactly what you need, right? If you think about it, the amount of investment that is taking place globally on centers, on computational capabilities to support AI is massive. Maybe you as an institution, you might need to look at that as well. Then there's the actual integration. There's putting together the APIs to go to CSD and eTender and CIDB and the other tools that you've got into your ERP system to get this done. Lots of work to happen around governance, security, your policy. So important to put that in place. By the way, this is not a sequential. The other big thing that many reports are showing is that one of the success factors is to say that actually we can't just expect the user to use a co-pilot interface or a llama interface, which there isn't really. We need to develop that interface. And then there is, as many have said, there's all the training that needs to take place. It's to understand these things, understand the tools, understand the terminology, understand the risks, understand the opportunities. There's change management processes. A lot of people don't want AI because they think they're going to lose their jobs, right? And then there's the skills. If you're going to use low-code, no-code solutions, there's training to be done on that so that they can put these things together and use them in a proper manner. So there's just some thoughts on the considerations. Now, I'm gonna draw this to a close shortly. I've looked at the regulations, and interesting, there are some points in the regulations which are, if you like, comforting that they know that AI is coming. But the Act says that the Public Procurement Office must develop an information communication technology procurement system in order to enhance after conducting an information due diligence of the sector, assist with formulation design brief for the development of a procurement system. I put it to you that this is an e-procurement mindset. This is not the mindset that is going to be the one that is going to take us into the next world. This is an e-procurement context. We're not going to get where we want to get if we have an e-procurement system mindset going forward. But look at this. 29.1, this is the Act. Procuring institutions must, to the extent possible, use technology in the implementation of the Act. Note that they do not say here, use the technology that National Treasury provides you. Use technology in the implementation of the Act. And when available, use the different components that come out from 28.1. Okay, this single solution that Treasury are going to put together. We've got, if you like, the empowering provision to say use technology. Let's not wait. Use it. We're gonna be able to get there. Here's some discussion points for procuring institutions. Yes, some tools are going to be developed by National Treasury for National Treasury's use using their data. Okay, so I have no doubt that they're going to do some AI projects that are going to do a whole range of things around mining the information that exists in CSD and other tools and eTender procurement. They're going to do that, and we want them to. Okay, but there's a clear obligation on procuring institutions to use technology to support procurement going forward. I do not believe that sourcing an AI technology is going to fall under this embargo that many public sector organizations are under to not invest in tools. There aren't AI technologies that have got procurement functionality, right? That procurement functionality, you're going to have to work on that tools. many of the use cases will be very specific to the institution, right? Some of you are saying we're using the technology to help us with specifications. Your specifications are very, very different specifications that other institutions are going to be putting together. And much of the data is going to be very specific to the institution. Yes, there will be some that's common. So I would not wait for National Treasury to introduce AI tools for your benefit. I would start to explore this quickly. And I think that we need to get going with this quickly. And probably start by having some workshops and starting to put some use cases together for your particular institution. Don't choose one. You're never going to get there. If you think about the end-to-end procurement process and where all these things are happening, you probably want to prioritize 2, 3, 4 pilots across the supply chain. And this is not cheap. There's premiums for AI skills that you need to build into this. Do not underestimate that. And my suggestion is very quickly get some early market engagements going. And please, in the chat, if you're keen, either in the chat or just send me a message to say whether you are keen in benchmarking your institution on emerging technologies, not just AI, but other things as well. We're keen to get some benchmarking processes going. Certainly, if you've got an institution and you're not doing anything, then benchmarking is not going to help you, because we know you're at zero maturity level. But certainly, if you've got some thinking and you'd like to be part of a benchmarking exercise, please let me know. Right, let's open it up. Mike, you were the first one to raise your hand. Let's go to Michael, and then we go to Tandi.
So if I can just make an example, if you look at India, India was a society, and I'm talking about banking in India. India was a society that was driven by paper. People were stashing thousands of banknotes underneath the beds and the bed mattresses. Okay, there is no such thing as paper any longer. India does over 100 million transactions a day electronically. And this thing about, it's rural India, there's no communications, that's been debunked. I mean, in South Africa, every person has a smartphone. So this idea of being technologically ignorant doesn't apply anymore. It applied maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It doesn't apply anymore. 99% of people have smartphones, so they have the power of a mainframe computer in their pocket. And if you look at AI, there are simple tasks. 2 of the fundamental requirements of procurement: you must be registered on the CSD. You must get a tax clearance certificate from SARS. How difficult is it for a system to actually write to a bidder and saying, sorry, you're not registered on the CSD, you are therefore disqualified. If you believe this letter is incorrect, you have a right to object within 14 days. It's not a person that has to do that.
Yep, well
it's a system that does it for the person. Similarly with SARS clearance certificate. It's a task that would take a person hours and hours and hours of their own time, where they can actually devote their time to something which is more productive and more effective. So the idea is not AI is there to replace people, it's there to assist people.
Support. Good one.
And support them. And there are so many, in the legal profession, you can use an open language model to do a generic search. You can take the results from the search, put them in a closed language model so that whatever you ask and whatever is replied to you doesn't go into the public space, and refine your search with a proper prompt. We've been advised to use prompts at least 400 words long. So it's almost like a mini essay. The more detailed the question, the more detailed the answer. Okay, so there's so much information out there, and we just don't need to hold back. We just need to make the most of what is there, which will help us.
Well, then, Mike, keep looking, keep working on the space. India often comes up as a reference case. I didn't put them in the top 10 list there because they haven't quite got tangible benefits that they're starting to talk about, but it is very often referenced as a site. Tandi, let's go to Tandi, and then we'll go to Advocate Salubo, and then we'll go to France. Tandi.
Thanks, Sean. I'm so excited that we are really having this conversation. I think first thing for me, managers today or in their next staff meeting, they must ask their staff what are they doing with AI, because they are using AI. That is the truth of it. And I see from the responses, I always used to say ChatGPT. To me at first it used to be like Google that went to private school, So I think some I think some are still using it to that extent to say it's Google that went to private school. But I think you need to now be structured about it. If you decide that you're going to start using AI as a procurement unit, there's different stages of procurement. And then the easiest one that does not have much issues that you can be able to even manage and control is the pre-tendering stage. When you're looking for specifications, you can download it, you can go through it, you can verify certain things, and then you move along. But also, I think one good thing that you said that I like, Sean, it's about developing something in-house. When you develop something yourself in-house, you feed the information. You know what you're getting from AI, you know where it comes from. Because that's my biggest anxiety, that not knowing what we're getting, where it comes from, it becomes a problem when accountability comes.
Absolutely.
So I think now we really need to, now if we decide that you're going to be using AI, there is an SOE, so Sean, I'll tell you offline, that is actually using AI. I thought they will come and tell you about it, but I see that they're silent. I'll tell you about it. There's a Schedule 2 entity in South Africa that has rolled out AI, that they're using it. But we need to now be structured to say, as an SCM, we're going to use AI where? Pre-tendering, evaluation, and then you move right along. But more than anything else, again, my another anxiety is unconscious incompetence, not knowing what you don't know. AI, it's a skill. We need to learn it. We need to understand how it works so that we can be able to leverage it better. Like I'm saying, for me, still ChatGPT that went to private school, but we know that there's so much more that AI can do, and there's so many tools. There's one that I found now when you talk about law thing, whereby when there's a case now that is out there, in that now there was a case for this licensing machines that were found to be unlawful. I don't know whether it's deep search or deep seek. I just take it, throw it there, and then get a summary from it, and then it gives me key points, and then I'm able to actually have a proper assessment of it. So I think structure more than anything. Number one. Two, talk to your staff, go and ask them what are they doing on AI, because I know that they're doing it now. Thank you.
Good one. DeepSeek is the Chinese one. Well done. Let's go to France. I think that
Sean?
France. Was that advocate?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to concur. I think I did put my views on the chat, because the cyberspace is misbehaving. However, I think for me, I'm stuck on saying what you've just said, that we must get to developing the capabilities than using capabilities that we don't know. Because when we do that, you know what we do? We create a bond between the research institutions, universities of learning, and TVET colleges, because that's where that work happens. And if we do that, we'll get to a level where we are sharing experiences in terms of which tool are you using for what you see in the TVET colleges, and we begin to develop transversalized tools as we have now within SETA, which can be used depending on our evaluation. For me, it's exciting. Secondly, you can't run away from it, but I still am stuck as a data privacy advocate that you cannot claim that there is a platform that is protecting you if you don't know its macros. That does not exist at this point. You have an amoeba. That is why this thing, what you call it, what is this? I wrote a paper on what is this? The cookies. Yes. If you look at cookies, you are looking at AI. If you think when you are using cookies, you are still, your data is private, you are joking. You gave your data a long time ago yourself. So I'm saying, as a data privacy lawyer, the issue of privacy is one thing that we must hold sacrosanctly, because our data and citizens' data is not for sale. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, then there are France. Love to hear from you, France. Thank you, advocate. Let's see if France, you can unmute.
Hi, Sean. I thought you will unmute me, but yes, it's been a while since I've been on the
platform. It's been a long time, France. Lovely to have you on.
2 months. too much. Thanks, Sean. And this morning, let me greet also the participants. I could not miss the AI one. It's so very topical and relevant. And it's very interesting that you would quote from the Procurement Act 2024, Sean. A piece of legislation that is under siege, and I know Western Cape was between the city and the Western Cape government. I must tell you, I am so happy that that specific clause makes provision for the use of technology. For one reason, Sean, I've recently participated in a national assessment. I think it was a project by GIZ and some international funders. And you won't believe what the score was like on the use of technology. There is also a Gauteng assessment, same thing. The result was very similar. So very topical, Sean. And I must say, while the act is under siege, I don't know if you have something to tell us in that regard. We're expecting, I'm sure, a verdict very soon from the courts. I don't know if you have heard something. But I must tell you, it looks like the 2024 Procurement Act have the objective to pull some major things right. And I mean, there you can see the issue of use of technology being high up front in the legislation. But nevertheless, Sean, you can hear most probably I'm driving. Can you believe it? The R21 that connects business people between our OR Tambo and our capital, Pretoria, have the weakest data signal line. Whether you're calling or you use data like I do now, I had to hold my hands up so I don't lose connection. So when I say that deliberately, because certainly when we talk about the use of technology, there are certainly a lot of prerequisites for that. And I mean, it's the issue of data availability, speeds, and all those things. So I hope you can reflect on that too. Sean, when we talk about AI, isn't AI just a quick access to a database somewhere or a pool of intelligence that brings it to you by a click of a few buttons to your fingertips? And Sean, that makes me wonder if we have procurement data in the space, in the sector available at the click of a button. I think that's something we could quickly reflect on, because I tell you, I don't think so. And I can tell you now, for public sector, it's even worse. I think the private sector may be ahead of us here. But yes, certainly, Sean, I do think AI could be a wonderful solution or a wonderful tool as part of the technology tools that we could use in procurement. I guess, Sean, for infrastructure, most probably it becomes even more important, because that's the difficult part of procurement, infrastructure and all the technical engineering issues that comes with that. Sean, just a quick reflection on that. I certainly would want to hear your views on that, and thank you very much for taking my hand. Thanks, Sean.
Good one, Frans. Welcome. You raised so many points. Let me just quickly respond. It's not just a database, it's databases, but it is also generating content, and that's the generated thing. So it can build stuff. It's not just a Googling against a particular database. There's a lot more, and that's where the generator aspects come into it. Frans, let me just quickly talk about the Public Procurement Act. There is one province which is fighting very, very hard against the act. Let's see where that goes. The rest of the country, just for context for those guys in the Western Cape, the rest of the country is pretty much working on the assumption that it is coming. I think the government of the Western Cape, as well as the city, have got a good argument. What the Constitutional Court have asked is that the submissions be given, and I've seen the dates. It is from the different parties. It is in process right now. I think the first week or two of February. Then it's soon after that then that the respondents have to then respond once they've seen the submissions from the challengers, and so I think it will probably only be sometime in March that the Concourt will consider. And when they schedule that, we don't know. So I'm thinking it's probably late March, maybe April, that the Concourt is going to be in a position to actually sit and think through those two cases. So it'll be interesting. There's still some time to go, but if anybody wants to know what those dates are, I can get that to you. It's a Concourt document that was issued last week sometime, so can certainly do that. Yeah, lots of points that you've made, Frans. I think that let me just step back. I think that, Thandi, to your point, it's not just finding out what's going on. I think that as procuring institutions, it's important to do something tangible, be it a workshop to do use cases, be it to put together a governance committee, an AI governance committee for procurement, be it to do as the city has done, procure a couple of tools so you can start to use those in a secure on-premise environment. You want to start doing something. You want to start to take this seriously and look at this very, very carefully. We have got a window of opportunity before the Public Procurement Act comes out. And I think you want to get going when you have a lot more flexibility now than when the regulations are in place. One of the regulations, for example, does state that you've got to, when you're using AI, you've got to have the controls in place to show that there's no bias, and also to be sure that you are doing things confidentially and that you're protecting personal information and confidential information, and there's a whole range of issues. So there are some very specific regulations that do touch on AI. Yeah, but let's see. So there we are. I think that's it. I don't know if there's anything more. I hope this has been of interest. And any other comments, welcome. For those of you who are keen, no one has said anything yet about the benchmarking. I am aware of that SOE that is busy, but please just confirm that it's the same one that you and I are thinking about, Thandi. I have been contacted by others who are keen on doing some AI benchmarking. So yeah, please let me know if you're keen to be part of that. It's something I'm personally working on, doing a lot of work, some interesting stuff, and yeah, we'll watch the space. All right, if there's nothing else, then let's call it a day. And wish you well, and we'll see you next week. Frans, you got a lot. Did I miss a point?
Hi, Sean. No, just before you close, remember I told you last time, I'm actually more in the local government space where financial systems of, you would know, financial systems of municipalities are very strictly governed with the MSCOA regulations. And last year, October, I've attended a conference that the colleagues in the municipal space would know, the Safaro annual conference. And guess what, Sean? I've been I had engagements with some of the executives of one of these system companies. Sean, they still struggle to automate procurement. And if I were to rate the state of the use of technology in our country by, man, I don't want to go too much in provincial and national government, but just local government, Sean, I can tell you it's possibly a 1.5 out of 5. I can tell you it's not even a level 2 score. So Sean, talking about AI, so the one thing that the MSCOA regulations push is the complete integration. And I can tell you now, I can only imagine that for an AI solution, the rules or the requirements would be the same, that it must be integrated in as part of the main system of municipalities. So I just thought I'll drop that with you. So I think it's still a journey. I think long journey to go, but I think the governance framework arrangements, I think we can already start working on those. And I think there you are 100% right, Sean.
Absolutely. Let's get those AI governance committees put together and do some work around that and get some policies in place. All right, Poke. Thanks. Let's well, thank you, Louise. Happy to share this presentation. Yes, there's not a lot of IP in here. And good one. Get going. Let's yeah, we don't want to be left behind, eh? I don't want to be left behind.